Okay, it's been a little bit of time, but we're back in action. What's that? Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. That really means a lot. He just said that last week's review was my best one. Wait, I was sick. You're a jerk.
Audio Jungle.
Hello, everybody. My name is Connor, aka I'm back. Yeah, go figure on that one. OKayFabe, and welcome back to another fun, official OneWrestling.com TNA Impact Wrestling review with, of course, your official OneWrestling.com TNA Impact Wrestling reporter, who sounds like he's got a frog stuck in his throat. You just won't croak. Get it? Always with the bad puns. Ladies and germs, of course, you guys know me as Connor, aka OKayFabe, your official TNA OneWrestling.com reporter, who was unfortunately sick this past week. I apologize I was unable to upload or review Impact Wrestling this past week. As you can still hear in my voice, I'm not 120% back, but I am back now, stronger. Okay, I was pretty much as weak as I was before, but you guys get the point. I was out for a week sick, unfortunately, and even though I'm not 100% cleared, I wanted to come back and make sure I did my OneWrestling.com Impact Wrestling review right here on the OneWrestling.com YouTube channel, and of course over at OneWrestling.com. So thank you guys for your patience, thank you for your understanding, and thank God for NyQuil. That thing is a really big lifesaver. I mean, at first I thought it was just like a mint drink, but it actually made me really, really better and also slightly sleepy. What was I talking about again? Okay, one last thing before we get into this entire Impact Wrestling review this past week. There was a couple things I did want to briefly mention. First and foremost, I will be attending WrestleCon this coming Saturday, so if you guys are going to be in the Dallas area during WrestleMania weekend, yours truly will also be attending WrestleCon, as well as the other plethora of wrestling events. If you want to go over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/OKayFabe, you can hear all the fun plans and shenanigans. And if you're up in the Dallas area, definitely make sure you hit me up, because I'm definitely going to be meeting a lot of you guys while I'm out there. Secondly, because I'll be gone, I'm not 100% sure if the Impact Wrestling review next week will be completely 100% on time, so just stay tuned for that one. And finally, certainly last but not least, I did want to bring up, of course, the interesting news that happened this past week, where it was announced that both Bobby Roode and Eric Young have parted ways with TNA Wrestling. Of course, this is a sad time and a sad moment, but at the same time, it's sort of kind of a rebirthing process. Eric Young and Bobby Roode were two big cornerstones of TNA Impact Wrestling, and honestly, two of my favorite hardworking individuals in the company themselves. So I just wanted to briefly say that it's a chapter closed. It's sad to see them go, but hopefully we'll see them in other major opportunities down the road. That being said, let's get right into the show, shall we? So the show kicks off with Matt Hardy wanting a title shot. What else is new? Of course, Mike Bennett comes out making fun of Matt Hardy, looking like a war is about to erupt between the Miracle, Mike Bennett, and Matt Hardy. Be still, my beating heart. Go, go, go. Fight. Fisticuffs and just... oh, come on. Really? They don't do it? Such a tease. Anyway, just as Matt is about to fight Bennett, EC3 comes out. Is that the Miracle? Is it? Kinda. He has exchanged words back and forth with the Miracle Mike Bennett, but Bennett claims that he will choose when to fight. But in the meantime, Matt Hardy says, hey, you're itching for a fight, EC3. Why not fight the entire Matt Hardy brand, himself, Rockstar Spud, and Tyrus tonight? To which EC3, of course, that's foolish. It's a 3-on-1 handicap match. Who would dare? I mean, EC3 could definitely handle this challenge, which is why we have EC3 versus the entire Matt Hardy brand. So what I thought we were going to see was basically a repeat as far as a gauntlet match, but instead we more or less get a 3-on-1 handicap match instead. Interestingly enough, Matt Hardy really doesn't get too involved with the match, at least until the very end, with Tyrus and Rockstar Spud getting most of the in-ring time. It just seemed as if EC3 was just about to get the upper hand. Out comes the Miracle again, storms the ring and causes a disqualification. But instead of just a typical, I can't do math right now, 4-on-1 beatdown, instead we get Beer Money to come in and make the save, helping clear house. So instead, Roode makes the announcement and saying, hey, let's change things up and make it Beer Money and EC3 against Matt Hardy, Tyrus, and Mike Bennett. Shut up and take my money. This matchup was just absolutely a blessing, and I don't want to say a miracle because that's Mike Bennett. This matchup was fantastic. I will admit that sometimes when you see top stars thrown together in a tag team matchup, you have some reluctance and some hesitation, but it seems as TNA has always been able to pull this off quite well. You get the quality of the single one-on-one matches that you were hoped to be with these big star names, but adding Beer Money as a tag team and Tyrus honestly really did shine this week. And no, I'm not saying that whatsoever because he handed me a note out of complete fear and manipulation. Tyrus did so fantastic. I think he should definitely be the next TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, and I was not coerced whatsoever to say that. Anyway, Tyrus especially gets some time to help shine, and of course helps Matt Hardy get the twist of fate on Bobby Roode to get the win for the team. Hold on, part 3. Go, Tyrus, go. Yes. He's not going to eat me now, right? Backstage, Gail Kim seemed to be upset that she still can't get her hands around Maria, and that Jade is now the new number 1 contender for the Knockouts Championship. So she decides to announce a number 1 contendership match of her own between Madison Rayne and Velvet Sky. Okay. The match itself was pretty solid. Nothing to write home about, but it's still just more a little bit confusing to me as to why she was having another number 1 contenders match. I get the understanding that she probably wasn't a big fan of Jade or the fact that she was able to get her hands on Maria, but announcing a match and kind of making it almost random is a little perplexing to me. The only thing I could see this being is a way to hopefully turn either Madison Rayne or Velvet Sky heel. You did see some tension between Velvet Sky and Madison Rayne as Rayne picked up the victory, and Velvet seemed a little reluctant to help her raise her hand in victory. So maybe if that was the only purpose of this, if for nothing else, then I'm all for it. But speaking of tensions being broken up, seems to be some tension in Broville. Really? Broville? That's the best we could... There's actually a place called Broville? I say we make a road trip. Tensions in Broville as we see the reuniting of Jesse Goddard and Robbie E. The Bromans are back. Yes! Break out the hair gel and the spray tan. We've got some work to do. But Eli Drake makes it pretty public that he's not a fan of them reuniting as a tag team, so we were seeing some interesting tension between them. Look, I'm all for the Bromans coming back as a tag team. I thought they were entertaining the first time around, and I think Eli Drake getting involved with it, because I'm, again, a big fan of Eli Drake, I don't see anything wrong with this. This is a win-win in my book. Speaking of win-wins, let's talk about somebody who has been getting a lot of wins lately, and no, I'm not talking about me. No, have you heard this voice? Jeez, it sounds like I got punched in the throat by Tyrus. Don't give him any ideas. Next, we get a surprise in-ring segment from the Pope, D'Angelo De Niro. Yes, the Pope ended up getting some in-ring time, or at least some time on the mic. He proclaims and professes his issues of being upset with Bobby Lashley and kind of recaps their history, and then ends up challenging Lashley to a match. What we get instead is a brawl between the two that is eventually broken up by security, and I gotta say, that's amazing. I will give him credit where credit is due. This type of storyline and build has me very, very intrigued. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that I'm the biggest fan of the Pope, but I do like his in-ring work, and I do like his mic skills, especially on commentary. But I will say that they did a very intriguing job of this having huge potential, not just, of course, for a match eventually between Pope and Lashley, but also the bigger picture here is making Lashley a big, monstrous heel. While I did say in the last couple of reviews a while back that his heel turn was, well, a little questionable against Kurt Angle, it did set things up and make Lashley look really important in my eyes, which is, I think, something they need to do, especially now that we have no longer Kurt Angle, sad to say, in TNA Wrestling. So making him a monster heel and working with the Pope, someone who know he will get him over, I think is a huge, huge plus. I like the fact that they're slowly dragging this out. They're not really they're kind of slowly building the tension between the two, ultimately building up to a match. Of course, Pope being kind of semi-retired, being a commentator only. It's kind of cliche in some ways. We've seen it happen before, but I think this is a very strategized and very well-written and well-done storyline thus far. And again, being the big goal of making Lashley the next big heel next to Matt Hardy. Whew. Can we go back to Bromans now? Yes. Speaking of more tension in Broville, the Bromans actually get a win over Eric Young and Bram in a regular solid tag team matchup. The interesting thing about this is that we finally see some more tensions between Eric Young and Bram as they two argue after the match. And of course, Eric Young mentioning something about hoping Jeff Hardy wins. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, we're gonna get to that. Don't you fret. But speaking of weird random attacks, Al Snow attacks Grado backstage, proclaiming that he doesn't belong here. There's a lot of people on the Impact Wrestling roster that I am purposely and quite understandably afraid of because, quite frankly, they could make me into a bowl of Jell-O pudding pretty much by looking at me. But Al Snow looks like he was just chiseled out of stone. If I was Grado, I would just lay down. Or I'd hire Odark the Great. I keep forgetting that. Next up, we have Eddie Edwards coming out to the ring and proclaiming how great the Wolves were as a tag team, when instead we get Shane Helms coming out, who proclaims that he will be making his in-ring return or in-ring debut with TNA Wrestling very, very soon, and he was looking to make Eddie Edwards his tag team partner. He was talking about also building up how great the Wolves were, but instead wanted to actually make Eddie Edwards his tag team partner and go after beer money for the tag team titles, and gave Eddie 1 week to think about it. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure about this. I'd much rather see Eddie Edwards as a singles competitor. Now, okay, let me back things up a little bit here just to preface this. I love Eddie Edwards. I love Davey Richards. I love the Wolves. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And now all the Wolves fans hate me. Anyway, I love the Wolves. And unfortunately, it is sad to say, of course, with Davey Richards out with his ankle injury, Eddie's kind of left on his own. And as much as I love Eddie Edwards as a tag team competitor, I think it would be more intriguing, to be completely honest with you, to see Eddie Edwards shine as a singles competitor. Now, I honestly think that Eddie Edwards and Shane Helms will be together as a tag team for very long. Probably not in the long term of things. You might see it as a short term, but honestly, I think it would be a great opportunity, ironically, for Eddie Edwards to compete for the X Division Championship. And what better setup than Shane Helms, you might ask. But I digress. Let's talk about the world title match. Holy cow. Drew Galloway and Jeff Hardy put it all out there. This matchup was fantastic. Drew's matches lately have been absolutely on fire, especially winning the World Championship, having the couple of matches he did with Kurt Angle as part of the Farewell Tour. You throw Jeff Hardy in the mix and you've got yourself a recipe for success. This matchup was everything I was hoping it to be, and honestly, as Drew Galloway as World Champion, I'm very hopeful and very invested in seeing what other great matches he can have. Speaking of which, Matt Hardy comes out, along with everybody and their mother apparently, and says that next week he is going to get his rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship. As Galloway accepts this challenge, Eric Young and Bram storm the ring attacking Jeff Hardy, but of course Galloway helps clear the ring as Jeff Hardy hits a twist of fate on Matt Hardy and challenging Eric Young to a 6 sides of steel match for next week. Holy, I can't drop anything. My phone's too expensive and just there's nothing I want to say drop the mic, but I can't even do that. It's too expensive. Holy shnikes. Okay, here's the kicker. This overall show seemed pretty solid, but I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little more interested in next week's show. It's not that there was anything particularly bad about this week's episode, but if you kind of start to notice the fact that TNA is changing a lot of directions creatively with their angles. You see Bram and Eric Young starting to split up. You start to see the bromans reunite. You start to see Grado with his new rivalry. And you see the start changing guard with the X Division and the World Heavyweight Championship. So all in all, I'm glad to see the new talent that is coming in, and they're kind of rearranging the card a little bit. But this particular episode not really did anything too amazing for me other than the World Heavyweight Championship matchup. Again, I'm not saying that the show was bad, it's just that it's one of those transitional shows. You know that they're starting to change up storylines, change up angles. As much as I love seeing EC3 and Bennett, which I really am hopeful for a singles matchup, this particular episode didn't really drive home for me, but I cannot wait for next week. And go figures, it might be late on my review, but I digress. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of this week's episode of Impact Wrestling on Pop TV? I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because we the entire OneWrestling.com family, we love to hear your opinions. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below, or again, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, or of course over at OneWrestling.com. Psst, listen, if you haven't hit that subscribe button or like button yet, you might as well do it right now. I'll save you the time and money. It's just, trust me, it's just that easy. Hit the subscribe button and like button right while you're down there. They're both right there. They're practically right next to each other. It just makes it that much easier. Anyway, thank you guys again for watching. We appreciate the continued love and support. Make sure you hit us up on the various social media, like I mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, OneWrestling.com. You can follow me at OKayFabe on Twitter, and of course, my YouTube channel, YouTube.com/OKayFabe. I'll be at WrestleCon this coming Saturday, so make sure if you guys are in the area, make sure you hit me up and get some fun photos. And it's $50 a photo. No, I would never charge for a photo. Are you kidding me? First off, your camera would break if you ever took a photo of me. Trust me, I know it's happened before. But I digress. Thank you guys again for watching. We appreciate the continued love and support. And to quote the legendary, the iconic Bill Apter, who will also be at WrestleCon this Saturday, we will see you at the matches.